Till I met the mayor of my town, Hoyashi, in Japan, and I told my mayor, why when I'm going to Japanese restaurants, they turn me away. When I go to the ryokan, they turn me away, and he said, no, they're not racist. We become jittery when we don't know how to interact. It's called xenophobia. You don't want to look stupid. In Japanese, they want to be perfect all the time.
Okay.
If I'm going to serve this man and I make a mistake, my face is down. So rather, avoid it. So he gave me a word to use, which is a greeting that says, I am sorry for being a burden on you. And it changed everything.
So once you said that?
Yes. She knows that.
But I wouldn't want to walk around thinking that I'm a burden.
Well, then stay in your country. Don't go anywhere.
Well, I want to visit.
There is something called multicultural communication, multicultural understanding, multicultural. We teach it. It's very expensive. You think it's there for nothing? It's there to prepare you to know where you're going and how to make the larger community feel comfortable, not for them to make you feel comfortable.
Sorry, his channel?
He has a channel on YouTube.
Well, I'll link his channel below.
His name is Frank Zanu. And
but don't I want to get this clip up. We've been talking about this the whole time. I don't want to miss out this clip, so don't erase anything. I don't know if you erase, but
no. His shows, he's lots of shorts and stuff on there that are really good. But I first saw him when I was watching Blanchard Robinson. He has a show too that's really good.
Yeah, we talked about him.
And we've talked about him before. But I saw him on his show, and I went straight to his page and watched. I went on like a marathon of just watching this guy, and I thought to myself, man, this man should have like 1 million subscribers.
Till I met the mayor of my town, Hoyashi, in Japan, and I told my mayor, why when I'm going to Japanese restaurants, they turn me away. When I go to the ryokan, they turn me away, and he said, no, they're not racist. We become jittery when we don't know how to interact. It's called xenophobia. You don't want to look stupid. In Japanese, they want to be perfect all the time.
Okay.
If I'm going to serve this man and I make a mistake, my face is down. So rather, avoid it. So he gave me a word to use, which is a greeting that says, I am sorry for being a burden on you. And it changed everything.
So once you said that?
Yes. She knows that.
But I wouldn't want to walk around thinking that I'm a burden.
Well, then stay in your country. Don't go anywhere.
Well, I want to visit.
There is something called multicultural communication, multicultural understanding, multicultural. We teach it. It's very expensive. You think it's there for nothing? It's there to prepare you to know where you're going and how to make the larger community feel comfortable, not for them to make you feel comfortable. You buy that comfort.
So because you don't know how to serve me, I need to dumb down.
No. It's not a dumbing down. That's a very American, and
I'm basically saying I'm so sorry that you cannot serve me.
You have come to.
But can you serve me?
No, you've come to disturb a functioning status quo. You, if you are a man of conscience, you know that I am different. I cannot expect the majority to disorganize themselves to accommodate me. I have to find that accommodation, make them feel that I come with knowledge about you.
But don't they know I'm traveling to their country? Don't they know that there are visitors, there's people coming?
Yeah, there are foreign hotels. We call them foreign hotels. Go there, you go in.
To stay at the Marriott?
That's correct. That's why we have the ryokan. Ryokan is traditional Japanese hotels.
Okay.
You take off your shoes and your clothes at the door, standing naked, and a woman will give you what is called yukata, and you wear it. And then you wear sneakers. The whole bamboo floor is polished. You can eat from it. You all, men and women, have to take a shower, sit, and I wash your bag. Western people are not comfortable doing that. So don't come here. And out of curiosity, some of we foreigners want to go there. It has caused problem already. A woman won't behave this way if there hasn't been a precedent to this.
It's funny, I was watching him and I was thinking to myself, well, he's trying to show black people on his show is that how American and how you don't understand when you go to another country.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about Japanese, that they don't serve people sometimes.
Yeah.
And it looks racist. But it's not that, it's they don't know how to accommodate you.
It's their
because
culture.
they don't understand you. You're a foreign thing in this. So he talked to people to understand how do you get to them. And so he was just like, so I'm so good. She was just telling me that he says, you're acting very American right now.
Yeah.
When you go to the majority, you have to blend in.
And I don't think that they understand the cultural. I don't think they understand, like we say, the American way. That's why I have a problem with people who don't speak English in America.
Right.
It's because, I watched this girl named Mary Jane. She's a world traveler. She's young. Black woman. And she's from New York. and she travels all over the world. So she travels. Now, she goes to not the Marriotts. She goes to the rural parts of each country she goes to, whether it be Afghanistan, she's been to Iraq, she's been to Tokyo, China, she's been all these different places, right? And she makes it a point to learn the languages of the countries that she is going to as best as possible. I think she's fluent in a lot of languages right now. And then she also has sometimes she'll have a chaperone, a guy who comes, what's it called? Yeah. A guide.
Yeah.
A guide. You know, sometimes she'll have that with him if it's too complicated, but she's always prepared to blend into their culture because she's going to their country and not the other way around. This man's trying to explain to this woman this is what I would call American arrogance, because she's saying that I'm going to be this way in your country. You know, no. You yield to us.
Yes.
You yield to our way.
So she heard what he said, that he asked a native, what do you say so I can be served at this restaurant? And whatever it translated to was, I'm sorry for being a burden to you.
Yeah.
And she said, how am I a burden, though, if I'm the customer? He said, see, because you're thinking differently. That's how it translates. But what it really means is, I'm not a threat to you.
Yes.
I just want to be served. Show me how you do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, then they served me.
Right.
But when I just walked in, they didn't serve me because I was black.
Yeah.
I was different, and they didn't want to be uncomfortable and do something wrong.
Right.
So what do? They avoid you.
Yeah. And so in America, it's called racist. So you're bringing your racist ideas to your...
And that's what her video was,
Yeah.
because the black people in America think every time someone doesn't do something for them, they don't like them because they're black. And that's black
entitlement.
People. That is what America... That's what America propaganda has done to black people.
Yeah.
You just think because someone doesn't serve you or someone doesn't, it's just because you're black.
No.
He said, but if you go to Africa, it's the same thing. Are they racist?
Yeah. There's a.
They know you're not American.
Yeah. There's a unfortunate, unbelievable sense of arrogance and entitlement that I believe black people have morphed into in this country, and it's kind of sad to see. Because again, in yesteryear, black people were totally normal. Totally normal people. All right? You may have a sprinkle of oddballs, you know, out there, but there was completely normal for them to just be, not everything was racist or sexist and all stuff.
He's very interesting. He's been here for years.
Yeah, he's the one that you're talking about.
He's been in this country for a year. I think he's a professor or something here. But, you know, he's African. So he was like, he's been everywhere.
That's one of a Blanchard watch, right?
Yeah. And he's been to like all these different places. And he's just trying to say that the thing is that even if you go to areas where it's black people, they will treat you that way. He's just like, so he was trying to make a point because their whole show was about racism, basically. And he was just saying that is the reason why, like, when he talked about the KKK at one point, he said, when they say they don't like you because you're black, he was like, no, they're uncomfortable. They don't understand you.
Yeah.
And they don't want to understand you. They are comfortable. He said, anytime someone doesn't want to be around you, whether it's black people do it too here, where they don't want white people around. So is that racist?
Yes. Yeah.
No. Suddenly, when KKK people do it, it's racist. But then when black people do it, it's not racist. So he's trying to say that when people want to be surrounded by only them, their people, it's because they're only comfortable around their people. They're uncomfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable. Right. And so to be uncomfortable is to put yourself in a position where no one is like you. Yeah. It's like when you go to your first job. And you go to a job and you're the first person, you're the new guy. Well, you're uncomfortable because you're new. And everybody knows each other and everybody's got a flow going and you've got to get into that flow. Well, a lot of people in their private lives don't want to deal with that. They want everything to be comfortable and cushy. And how do you do that? You only hang around people that are like you. He says, so if you see black people that when they have to be around lots of white people, they suddenly get like, I don't want to be here.
Black people who are not... Yeah, because there's a lot of times where black people, and this goes for any race, really.
No, I'm not talking about at a job. I'm talking about in your private life.
But I do notice that, like, there are black people who are extremely that have only been raised around black people in black communities, at a black school, in a black church, at black supermarkets. You know what I mean? The whole community is just black, and then all of a sudden, if you find yourself in a situation where it is a high percentage of a different race, let's say white, they automatically feel like they feel different, and so they are treated different.
There are black people that work in jobs where there are white people, and then as soon as they go home to their regular life, they actually don't want to hang around white people.
Right.
They don't have a lot of white friends. They don't want white people in their experience.
And I find that very
no one
interesting.
calls you racist for that.
No.
No one will call you racist for that. They'll just say that,
But if a white person says, I only
right.
go around white people.
I only want to be around white people.
I like mine.
I work around black people. When I get off work, I just want to be around my white wife, my
KKK.
white kids, and you Klans member. You know what I mean? But what his point was valid. What he's trying to say is that even Asian people do this.
Yes, they do.
And we know
They do.
this
Yeah.
because I know lots of people that are like Dominican. They only have Dominican friends.
Right.
That is the craziest thing in the world. And when I lived in New York,
Oh my God, I know.
when I lived in New York, people used to think I was Dominican. I worked when I worked at Macy's, I worked in a area. I worked in Tommy Hilfiger, and everybody that worked in Tommy Hilfiger was one Jamaican, but everybody else was everybody else was different. But I wanted to work in DKNY. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to work over in DKNY, and DKNY was right next to the area, and they accepted me over there.
Right.
Now, when I went over there, people kept saying that they were standoffish.
Yes.
But when I went over, I was like, no, they're not.
They
wanted me there. They were over there. It's because they thought I was Dominican.
Yeah.
And when I turned around, I was like, oh yeah, you guys are all Spanish. Like, you guys are all Dominican.
Yeah.
You're not even Puerto Rican. You're all Dominican.
Yeah.
And they thought I was, so they took me in as their own. The only reason that they didn't think I was because my accent.
Yeah.
I didn't have an accent.
Yeah.
So they knew I wasn't even from New York.
I'm from
but
Midwest.
they thought that maybe I was Dominican. So they took me in, and I thought that was crazy. I became friends with them. Like they took me in, even after they found out that I was just regular black. Even after that. And I was friends with them for forever. But they would go to lunch with tables.
Yeah,
in our lunch,
I remember.
just
I remember.
them though.
Yeah.
It's like all the Dominicans came from the store and they just hung out. But it was the same with Jamaican people, and I saw Puerto Rican people do it. I saw African people do it in a melting pot of a store like that. And so, why is it that you can live in New York, be Dominican, and then only want to be around your people?
Yeah.
It's because what he's saying. It's because it's comfortable. They all speak Spanish. They all know each other. They all live around each other. And they don't really want to invite other people in because they feel that way. But I see black people do it all the time. But when white people do it, they're suddenly KKK members.
Yeah,
but even if you talk about the KKK, mostly what's wrong with them is that they don't expose themselves to anybody but them.
So we call that. So let's call that what it is: ignorance.
It's just ignorance.
Yeah. So let's call it ignorance. So sometimes I do think there's black ignorance, where black people, a lot of times black people don't feel comfortable around white people, and then because they have that sense of I'm not comfortable around, they have a standoff. Not all the time, standoffish feeling because you're not comfortable. It's okay. You're a black person in a white situation. You're not used to being around white people, and you probably feel a little uncomfortable. Well, they're probably reading that as you feeling uncomfortable. Not all the time. I'm just saying there's a lot of situations this has happened. If you're honest with yourself, and maybe they just standoffish with you because you're not feeling. It doesn't mean that they're racist. It just means that they don't like black people. It just means that they don't know. They see that you're not interacting. Yeah, and they're not. It's strange because you're. And so but it's true. Whenever black people are around.
Yeah, years ago I was on a group page just back when I used to go on Facebook. But there was this page, there was this group, it's mostly black people. It was a lot of them too, like 300,000 people in this group. Yeah. And these black women were talking about their black men as husbands and boyfriends and stuff like that. And this white girl came in and she started talking about the fact that she was married to this black guy. And they pounced on her. They said, this is a black thing. Oh. And then she was like, but I'm married to a black man, I have biracial kids. She was like, no, this is not for snowflakes. With black men. So what that was black ignorance. But what that actually was that these black women just want to be around black women. Yeah. They didn't want to see some white girl and they weren't interested. But what's the difference between that and KKK really? Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying.
You mean it's an organized group?
It's an organized group.
So what you've done is something very interesting. You've done segregation.
They've done right.
You done Jim Crow. You just did Jim Crow. You just did Jim Crow.
I've always had all my. I just tell Danielle it's funny. All my best friends have always never been black. They've either been white or they've been biracial. I've had two or Spanish. When I was in New York, I had Hispanic friends. You know what I mean? I've never had just a black friend they've always been, but I've always been friends with everyone. I've always had black friends, Hispanic friends, white friends. And I think it's because our grandmother was white and we were around white people.
I don't think we ever had a problem. Like growing up, I feel like we have always had like a wide variety, a diverse.
Yeah. My mother never liked us being trapped
in
like a black. Either she took us
yeah.
out of our black neighborhood and we moved into a more diverse neighborhood. But she never wanted us to be just. Even with her, she worked in she was mostly the only black woman that.
Well, I think she wanted us to be exposed to all types and all cultures and stuff like that, and just you know, what I mean, like just different people, because you don't. What you don't want to be is adult and have the culture shock of people that are American too, just not your color.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she was wanting us to have that kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm around a bunch of white people. Oh boy, I'm in a Asian situation. I'm in a, you know. So it's like, I kind of like that.
She kind of opened our mind. Like we did ballet. We went to. She took us to ballet. She introduced us to things that weren't all just blackity black all the time. And so for us, and then again, her mother's white, and since we didn't know our father, we were raised with her side of the family. So we were raised with biracials and whites. Yeah. So we were used to being around lots of different types of people. Even so, then we moved to New York, and now that's a melting pot of different types of white people, different types of black people, different types of Hispanic people. And so I've always been able to just be friends with people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so when I see black people only think one way, it's easy for me to just say, yeah, but you're also doing what it is to other people that you don't like done to you. Right. But you don't see it because your group tells you that this is okay. Right. But then when you see white people act what you call racist, then you think that that's wrong.
Why is that racist?
But that should be okay too if it's okay for you.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is a common thing, but I've heard this be said before. I don't like race mixing. So when you hear that, it's always like a white person that'll say that. You know, not always, but there's that statement is always associated with white people. But if you look at it truthfully, like most people, it's logical to want to be with your own race.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been with a white man. I know. In my whole life.
Which is so weird. People always think that we only date white men.
I've only dated darker skinned, tall, black men. And it's all I've ever dated in my dating life. That's all I've ever dated. But that's just because that's what I know. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not that I almost couldn't imagine dating a white man.
It's not even that I avoided it. It's just a natural inclination.
So when I see white people who just want to marry, like, you know, Jason Whitlock was talking about the fact that he used to date white women. And he said that a lot of times the fathers of those white girls would not want, they would give him the sort of, even though he was successful. They would be like, and he was just like, and now he said the other day, or not too long ago, he's talking to Shamika. He said, now I can kind of understand why they did that. He said, because if I had kids now, he said, if I decided to have kids, I think I'd want them to be black. So why wouldn't they want them to be white? Yeah. He's like, I kind of get that now. We have a quarter white in us. Yeah. Right? So our our mother's mixed. Our father is black. So I'm not against interracial marriages and dating like that. I'm not against that. But there is still, because I've been raised as a black person. So because of that, I have a natural inclination to want to be with black men. Now, doesn't mean that I'm avoiding other, races of men, but there is kind of something very natural about just wanting to be with someone who looks like you. Yeah, I mean, conservative people generally date outside their race because it's hard. It is hard to find a man that is black and conservative. Right. And so most black men that are conservative date white women. Most black women that are conservative end up marrying white men. People, and sometimes people come in our comments and they'll make that like a zinger. They'll be like, oh, you guys are conservative black women, but guess what? All those black men out there are, they're dating those conservative black men. They're all dating white girls, and I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Why? Well, first and foremost, racist. No, first and foremost, why is that a problem? It's okay to date a white person. We're all kind of spread out. Yeah. It's not like we're in a city. I've always had the same feeling when it comes to conservative black people. Period. When it comes to this whole dating marriage thing, it's that there are so few conservative black women, truly conservative black women, and so few conservative black men, although that's increasing. So black men, it really is very difficult for all of us to meet each other. It's just a hard thing, right? So whenever I see like Candace Owens is married to a white man, that's completely logical to me. I think Jericho Green is married to a woman. Brandon Tatum, ABL, Larry Elder. I mean, it's hard though, to date. It is. I don't. Every man I've ever dated has been liberal. Well, because they're black. And I've always been not black enough. I know. That's another thing. It's like you face that too. So it is hard, But I will say that One day. No, just playing. No, I would just say that I get people when they're just comfortable around their own.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's just, to me, nature.
Well, because that man brings up so what he does, you know what I like about a lot of other people from different countries is that their boldness and directness with the way they speak. Because a lot of times what happens with Western people, we kind of tiptoe around conversations. And when you talk to like an African person, like I've had talks with African people, and they are kind of just like, they just say, man, one guy was like, why are you gay? Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
It's viral. You get, and
they just say what they say, the elephant in the room.
Yeah, they just say it, but they're not saying it to be offensive. They really just want to know, or they just have a question. Why were we tiptoeing? Why are we being politically correct about this? What is even political correctness? They don't even think about that. They're just, and so when he's talking to this lady, like he's just trying to explain to her, you are wrong because you are. And you're not getting it. You're not getting the comfort level.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. I just think that you're always gonna. I mean, I've always been able to be comfortable with lots of different people. But,
yeah, me too.
But I will say though that I think we all have areas of our life where we're just sort of comfortable.
But even like even with music that I listen to, like, you know, so I've had a lot of, you know, black friends when I grew up. I'm black, so I have had a lot of black friends growing up, and even like liking like country music as a black person is not.
Can't tell anybody.
Yeah, like it's very. I mean, now people. I'm talking about country.
Now I don't care because
I don't care because I'm
when I
grown
was
up.
a kid,
but
I did care.
Yeah, like saying that you like classical music, country music, you know, opera, these types of things. Like if it's not hip hop or R&B, like you're kind of look like you're a sellout. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how they look at you because you like something different, and you know, and just like stuff like that, like down to just that. Your music alone, like it's just.
I used to love Hootie and the Blowfish.
I know.
Look, I used to love some Hootie and the Blowfish, but I would never play it. Me and my friend Trisha, my biracial best friend, we loved Hootie and the Blowfish. We used to listen to all that very famous album that they had all the time. And I used to love Ace of Base.
Right.
Like there's just some groups that I just absolutely love, but I would never like play it in front of my black friends because they wouldn't understand it. So his name is Frank Zanu. Okay. This guy.
Well, I'll see if I can get that clip.
I mean, his clips are epic. Like, I mean, literally, he basically only talks to black people, really. Yeah. And he's trying to show them, black Americans trying to show them, and he kind of gets them to kind of see where you have taken on such a racial tone in your head that you're not even being objective anymore. And some of them are stubborn. They're not gonna, you know, they don't want to hear it. But like this woman, she got educated. Yeah. And actually, the women are the ones that come around. It's the black men that are the hardest to come around. But they look at him as like a foreigner.
Here's my feelings though: is that a lot of times when women who appear to be like feminist type women or just like strong-minded women like this lady, when you place women like that in front of a real masculine person and a alpha, I guess you can say, this is a popular word to say, alpha kind of male, they will kind of yield to them eventually. And which is probably what's happening here, that there goes, a lot of women start to naturally just become listeners instead of talkers. You know,
he talks a lot and interrupts a lot, but he makes 100% sense when you really just listen. He doesn't like when he starts hearing them go into the conversation, the BS of feeling sorry for yourself. Right. That he interjects, and then a lot of people don't like that he does that. But if you really, he should have 1 million subscribers. This guy is something else. Shows that he's lots of shorts and stuff on there that are really good. But I first saw him when I was watching Blanchard
Robinson.
Blanchard Robinson. He has a show too that's really good.
Yeah. Now, if you're black and you watch Blanchard, you won't be ready.
Right.
And if you're not ready, get ready. Because Blanchard, y'all gotta watch him. I'll link it below. But y'all have to watch Blanchard because he doesn't take any of the BS either with black people. He says
stuff that I think only black men can say. That I can't say it as a black woman.
We can't say it.
I can't say it. But I feel like some things I think only black men can actually get away with saying.
A lot. Sometimes there's things that men in general can say that I just will not say.
I won't say.
I'm not gonna touch it.
It won't be received well. And maybe I shouldn't say it.
No, that's
the
true.
thing is.
That's true.
And so I won't. But when I watch his show, I think he does a good job of being both informative,
I do,
to the point, and funny.
Right. 100%.
You know what I mean? And he introduced me just by watching the show to this guy. And I just went on like a marathon watching Frank Zano, and I was just like, this guy is amazing.
Right.
Like, how does this man only have 2,000 subscribers?
It's
like,
amazing.
he should have 1 million subscribers, but I know that people will reject him because he is way too real.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Right.
So, I don't know. Check him out.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy... He needs way more than what he has. Even Blanche. Check Blanche out.
Yeah, so guys, let us know what you think about this conversation. It was kind of impromptu. We'll expect to have that conversation. But yeah, let us know what you think. Leave some comments below.